ever wonder what would happen if you take one of the biggest, baddest villains humanly possible, right? And you flip the story just enough to make them an anti-hero, but not overly doing it to the point where it gets like repetitive and silly. Well, I think DC wanted the same thing, and then they decided to take a little show that was on the CW Seed. I think it only showed one, maybe two episodes on the CW Seed, and make a full-length movie out of it. And that's what we have here. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another JVS movie review. This time we are reviewing DC Animations and Warner Brothers Animation latest blockbuster. Well, kind of blockbuster. I'm going to call it a blockbuster that they're releasing. It's Deathstroke, Knights and Dragons, the movie. And they had to put the title The Movie in there because maybe you would get confused and think this was the CWC show. Again, that's what this movie is based off, is the CWC show. But let's quickly give you the synopsis and get into this movie to let you all know, should you watch it? Should you skip it? Should you just say, DC Animation, you're throwing up another little curveball I'm not into? But let's get into it. Okay, mercenary and master assassin Slade Wilson leads two lives. One as a relentless killer known as Deathstroke, and the other as a dedicated family man. When these two worlds collide, forced together by a vicious terror group known as Hive, it is the killer in Slade who must fight to save his loved ones as well as what remains of himself. That sounds really deep. And this movie is actually kind of really, really deep. It's really freaky a little bit. So, unlike other CWC shows that have been turned into movies, Vixen or the Constantine movie, where it was a bunch of episodes and they put them all together and they added extra footage to make a movie. This movie never feels like a show. That's the best way to put it. And those movies kind of felt like the show. You kind of felt the show even while you're watching the movie. On this one, you don't feel that way. In this one, Deathstroke is unlike any Deathstroke we've seen before. I think in this one, he's also voiced by Michael Chiklis, who I love Michael Chiklis. But but unlike the other representations of Wilson, whether it be on Arrow as a blunt killer, or on Titans as a blunt killer, or in the animated stuff as a other animated show, Young Justice, and a couple other films as a blunt killer. In this one, they try to humanize him a little bit. And I'm going to first tell you, it comes across as wonky as we get introduced to Slade Wilson. And we get introduced to him just reading a book to his son. And from there, we see him going on missions and the things that he has to do, or if he chooses to do, to make a living for his family. It still comes across through all of this as possibly the best DC animated film to be turned into a live action movie. That's the best way to put it. While I was watching this movie, all I could think in my head was, geez, this could be amazing as a live action film. I mean, granted, it kind of resembles at times the character that was stolen from Deathstroke to that other company, and literally almost has the same name as him, in the sense of being that type of anti-hero type of thing to make you care, but without the humor at all. Like, this is a dead serious type of movie. So, again, the movie starts off as just Slade Wilson reading a book to his son, and then he goes on multiple missions and he kills people in the most bloody ways humanly possible. If you remember the Mortal Kombat movie that Warner Brothers Animation did, that's kind of the gore level you're going to get out of this Deathstroke movie. Is about the same. So after that, we get just the family man attempting to keep both lives separate until what we all know is going to happen happens. And when the family gets involved and Slade Wilson goes off, that's where the story at times can lose steam. But the voice acting is so good, it keeps you intrigued, even when it shouldn't. If that makes any sense to you, what I just said. Because at times you kind of already know what's going to happen, so you shouldn't be overly interested in it. But the voice acting, the voice cast, the way this is drawn, everything is so engrossing. It keeps you just connected to it throughout all the silliness at times of this film. Because again, if you know Slade Wilson, you know he has powers. You know, if you know Slade Wilson's children, they have powers. Like it's a kind of a weird mix of things, including a villain that is not necessarily at times the best villain in the world. The Jackal. I'm not into the comics, so I don't know if the Jackal exists in the comics, but he is the main villain in this movie, and at times he comes across as a big threat. At other times he can come across as a little overly silly, unnecessarily silly. But again, everything else is so good around it. It makes it an enjoyable watch. This is a slight rebound for some people on what they have seen from the DC animated universe. To me, it's like kind of on par with possibly like the Judas Contract, which, wow, amazingly, that's another movie with Deathstroke in it. But like the Judas Contract, the more adult-leaning DC animated films. That's how this feels, and it really, really works. Again, Deathstroke as a character, for me, it was very interesting seeing him play in both sides here, and not that one-note killer assassin guy. He had feelings. He had loves. He had a reason to be doing the things that he does in this movie, and that's what you need when you have someone, a character that's supposed to be so relentless. You need to give him better reasons to do certain things, and they give him amazing reasons in this to do certain things, along with just amazing different shots and different setups that they pull off in this movie. It feels at times like, and I know this sounds weird, but it feels at times like it could be a tad bit bigger than the other DC animated films, which normally take place in one central location and then that's it. But this one, it feels like it spans more across the globe, water, sea, everything. It gives you everything you could possibly want in a very violent movie. If you have children and during this pandemic you are looking for something for them to watch, please skip this movie. This is not a kid's movie. It may say DC animated, and they may want to see it because it's part of DC animated universe. But again, this movie has some sexual content. It has violence. It has profanity. It has everything someone, I'm going to say under 14, should not see. Even if they're over 14, you still should make some questions about it. But definitely under 14, they should not see this movie. But as an adult or as a teen, you should see this movie. It's pretty good, and a good solid rebound from some people who did not like technically the last film in the prior DC universe. People did not like that one. I think they're going to like this one because while it's not as big and so many characters in it, it still feels like a big film, and it works with a solo Deathstroke story, which I think a lot of people have been waiting to see. So, Deathstroke, let me get his name right. Knights and Dragons, the movie, out of a possible 10, I'm going to give it a 7.5. This is a really solid solo movie. It's awesome to see them take a character like this and make a solo movie. I hope to see more of this from DC moving forward. I mean, you have so many different outlets now. You need to start doing movies like this on different outlets, and that can really engage people in lesser known characters or villains that you may want to do this humanizing spin on that you pulled off with Deathstroke. But check it out. I am not sure. I think it's already dropped, I believe, digitally. I don't know when hard copies of this movie drop. I know you could get it from Amazon Prime for sure, because that's how I got it. So please check it out. Let us know what you think of it. Let me know if the Jackal is actually a character in the comic books that I may need to care about and maybe want to see something in the future from. And let me know what you all think of Deathstroke and the way they played him in this one and how it differs from the prior portrayals of this character. I'm kind of interested to see what people think about that. Could be fun. Peace, people.